You're listening to The Luxury Item, the podcast on the business of luxury and the people and companies that are shaping the future of the luxury industry. Here's your host, Scott Kerr.
Last year, in only a matter of weeks, the world as we knew it changed dramatically. It also in many ways only accelerated retail trends that were already growing over the last few years. More shopping being done online and through apps, an expansion of delivery and in-store pickup options, and a greater emphasis on technology at all levels of enterprise to boost efficiency and customer satisfaction. To provide both immediate solutions and design with long-term impact in mind, luxury brands have been rethinking their practices and policies, accelerating the deployment of mobile and in-store technology, and offering new services to protect their customers and employees while delivering a great shopping experience. In an effort to empower customers in the midst of uncertainty, we're seeing more luxury brands invest in technology that provide these customers with greater control over how they shop in-store. We're starting to see more tools that virtually connect luxury shoppers with local in-store associates via text and video, or to use immersive virtual showrooms to try on products. This way, luxury brands can deliver in-the-moment expertise, advice, brand experience, and human interaction remotely. My guest today on The Luxury Item is Zornitza Stefanova, founder and CEO of BSPK, that's short for Bespoke. BSPK is a rapidly growing Silicon Valley-based startup that has built a remote customer engagement platform for luxury brands that puts the emphasis on what humans crave most these days, and that's human interaction. Zornitza is a serial entrepreneur, and BSPK is the third company which she founded. She has spent her career at the forefront of innovation in Silicon Valley, contributing to the growth of early-stage technology companies. Zornitza was recently honored by Luxury Daily as one of the luxury women to watch in 2021. Welcome to The Luxury Item, Zornitza.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. So first, I have to congratulate you on completing a $7 million Series A funding round back in October. That's amazing news.
Yeah, certainly a big milestone for the company, and we're very excited about what that will enable us to do going forward.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about where you're going to spend the money or the bigger goals in a minute. But if you can give our listeners like a short description of Bespoke, its business model, and what makes it unique.
Of course. So BSPK is the most advanced clienteling platform for luxury and premium brands. And with our platform, we enable better client engagement through enriched data. And we also enable better client retention through personalization of the shopping experience. Our mission is to really enable brands to create that more human, better connection to their client at scale, and extend the magic of luxury and premium consumption from a small number of clients at the top of the pyramid, so to speak, to many more customers and to many more people looking to have that wonderful engagement and joy in their lives from the consumption that they desire.
Now, you launched BSPK back in 2017, I believe it was. How did you come up with the idea? And what were you seeing in the market? What were the gaps in the market that you thought needed to be filled?
The big gap in the market I saw, and I'm a technologist. I've spent the last 25 years in Silicon Valley. This is my third company. I've worked on anything from music streaming to blogs to social media to fintech. And so as a person, as a technologist, I've always looked for what's new and what the gaps are. And one of the things that kind of really struck me around 2017 was why is retail technology so behind everything else? And I was really curious about that problem and started to really explore what's driving that. I mean, certainly it's not the lack of access, but and that led me to really research and think about how are companies in the retail space really thinking about their customer experience and what are the drivers there. And as I was looking deeper into the problem, that's where I sort of zeroed in on luxury and premium, because it was also connected to my personal experiences as a lover of fashion, and how I was shopping and how I was observing my friends shop and engage. And that was sort of the origin of BSPK, and I can talk more about how the specific idea evolved, but fundamentally, I felt that whereas in the rest of our day-to-day experience, we're deeply immersed in very advanced technological capability and solutions, that was lacking in our day-to-day shopping experience, and retail.
Did you launch in the US?
Yes, yeah,
And I
we
know,
are a Silicon Valley company.
right. That's good. Um, so I remember reading that when you launched, you hired someone in business development in Paris, right?
Yeah, Vanessa Maury,
Yeah.
she joined us from a luxury brand, a really forward-looking and forward-thinking luxury executive who was a very big supporter of BSPK because she intimately knew the challenges that luxury is facing, and she saw how BSPK solves these challenges, and so she joined our team to help in the business development capacity.
Yeah, I'm sure she had access and help you break into especially the European luxury marketing space, the European luxury space.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started, I have to say that Vanessa joined us relatively recently, but when I started the company, 2.5 years ago, there were at least several advisors on my board, and they continue to be on my advisory board, also coming from luxury, and those were people who opened a lot of doors for us. And I remember going to Paris. This was, late 2017, and I didn't know anyone. And through just the sheer excitement around what BSPK was doing, a couple of advisors I connected with at the time and invited to join us in our journey. They said, "Oh, you have to meet all of these other people," and that's how it all started, leading up to BSPK becoming what it is today, where when luxury brands look for uh, the best, most advanced, most tailored to their needs type of platform and solution, we are by far the leading choice. And it started only with a couple of introductions. So it's been quite an amazing journey. I mean, I think you and I at one point talked about stepping out of your comfort zone. For me, for sure, going to Paris and trying to establish connections and build my network in the world of luxury was definitely stepping out of my comfort zone, given where I spent my career to date.
Right. And so what problems does BSPK, what does the technology solve for these luxury retailers and customers?
It's the problems of engagement and retention. And those are the core problems in luxury today. And it is the case because as consumers, we have so many options at our fingertips today. I mean, you could be shopping online, you could be shopping, from your phone, you could be searching and finding the exact item you want. You could be doing, going to the secondhand marketplace. There's so many ways to engage. And so how do you keep a person immersed into the brand magic and into the, experience? And when we think about premium and luxury, it's all about the experience. It's all about the story. It's a completely irrational mode of consumption.
Right.
It's driven by emotion, and so luxury and premium have been successful because for decades, for centuries in some cases, they've been able to tell the story of the magic of the origin of the brand, the mission, the vision, the design, the people involved. I mean, those are things that we fall in love with. And so how do you do that in a differentiated way in this day and age? Well, we have Instagram, but it's crowded.
Right.
You
Right.
have e-commerce, but oh well, it's crowded. You have mobile, but there's like a lot of mobile options, right? So again, making that story stand out, and persist is what's really important. The standing out of the story is where you bring the new customers in. Persistence of the story is where you keep the retention and the client loyalty, and reinforcing that positive emotion about around a brand. And so today, what brands are really looking to figure out is, in this different mode of engagement, in a change environment, change shopping habits, convenience trumps everything in many ways. How do you keep that? How do you drive the engagement and retention? And that's where BSPK comes in.
So how do you measure success? How do your clients, what are their KPIs?
The way we measure success at BSPK is the conversion in terms of purchases when clients are engaged through BSPK, and that applies to existing clients as well as prospects. And also the retention is defined by repeat purchases from clients who have been engaged over a given period of time.
Does your platform also measure how long the sales associate is engaged with the customer, like a length of time, and sort of compare that analysis to when they convert?
Yes and no, because this depends on the brand, and I will talk about this in a moment. But to answer your question, absolutely, our most important internal metric as a company is how often, what is the daily usage of BSPK by our sales advisors, and that is daily. We were really sort of seeing that daily pattern of every sales advisor coming on board. It's like, okay, who do I engage with today, and how can I help them, and how they make their experience better? And that's, internally, I say internally because that's our measure of success in terms of the way the BSPK platform and tool are designed to serve the needs of the sales advisor in the premium and luxury boutique, or for the luxury and premium brand manager or headquarters. So that's really an important internal measure of success. But I think, getting back to your question on the length of conversation differs by brand, because it depends on the nature of the purchase, the complexity of the purchase. A long conversation does not necessarily mean more opportunity to sell or more opportunity to convert. Sometimes a shorter but better framed conversation is more effective, and sometimes a shorter but better targeted conversation is more effective. And when I say targeted, BSPK is about fundamentally the right message to the right customer at the right time. That's what personalization is. In today's realm of sort of marketing practices, what we are all tired of are the email blasts and the blanket CRM, where it's like, okay, we have a new thing for you, and we have that same new thing for everybody else. Well, why would I engage with that? And so with BSPK, we take the opposite approach to say, how can we at scale help these brands make the experience better, make the customer feel special, give them that moment of joy in their daily life, say, oh wow, they remembered, oh wow, that's just for me. And that's, everyone wants something special, and so we're trying to do that better and enable our brands to do it better. So that's really how BSPK is different, in fact, from all the other solutions in the market.
So I want to step back for a little bit and talk about how the global pandemic changed the luxury and retail space and where you see it going. COVID-19 plunged many luxury brands into the digital age. So with stores closed and intimate experiential events canceled, luxury brands are forced to work harder digitally to engage with customers. So if you were to look back over the last 13 months or so, do you think they've succeeded? And if you were to give them a grade, what would it be? I know it varies by brands, but if overall, and then I can name a few that have done, get an A, and the others that got Ds. But just looking back overall, do you think they've succeeded?
Great question. Between the A and D, let's settle on C. What I would say is the jury is indeed out still on that question, and I think what I see a lot is many of the brands are kind of they don't know what to do, and they're waiting to write it out, and they were waiting to write it out. Maybe, okay, that's going to be like a 3-month thing or a 6-month thing. Well, now it's been a 12-month thing, and probably will be at least 18 months by the time we're done here. So So I think for many brands, it's a very big challenge. The ones who stood out are, I would describe those in two categories. Is the leaders, the brands with deep pockets where they already had that incredible visibility and it could continue to promote that level of visibility during the pandemic. And there's a handful of those brands, and they've been successful, and they have also been successful because they, due to their ability to invest in digital more so than other brands, were better prepared. Um, but for everybody else, it's already visible how the gap has widened between the leaders and the laggards and the potential long-term, not survivors, the brands who may not make it through successfully. And I think that how well have they done with digital. I think there is a disconnect in digital, and for many brands digital means two things. They when you mention digital, they talk about CRM and they talk about e-commerce, and the reality is that e-commerce is not your digital strategy. E-commerce is just one piece of it. And yes, it's grown because we're all stuck in our homes and we can't go to malls and shops and boutiques and wonderful destinations. But e-commerce is not the solution to that. And for many brands, when they say, "Oh, we're digitally savvy," it's like, well, you have a website. What else do you have? And the reality is that from when we think about how our lives have changed, and we're having our conversations, our meetings, our work happen digitally, entirely digitally, with a host of tools, not just video. It's messaging, it's chat, it's streaming, it's augmented reality. I mean, many technologies that are creating that. They're breaking down the physical barrier, and that's what digital does. It's not just having a website. And so when I think about have they been successful, I tend to lean in the direction of most of them have not, because they were unprepared. They still rely on okay, we're going to bring a system integrator and we're going to patch this piece of something we have with this other piece of something else we have and this other piece, and we're going to push CRM and send a lot of emails, and then that's going to help. It's not. I mean, this is something that you know it's not going to move the needle in the long term. And when we get out of COVID, my prediction is that people will flock back to the real world because we're all tired of digital a little bit. But the that temporary sort of reliance in e-commerce, for some brands will be helpful. For other brands, not so much, because it's just not it's not the full experience. It's just one piece of it. So that sort of understanding of, and having a strategy. I think if I were to summarize everything I said in one sentence, having a strategy, what digital means for your brand, is a differentiator between the brands that are successful and the ones that are not.
Yeah.
The ones that do have a strategy, a comprehensive plan, a fully thought out cycle on what does the customer engagement look like going forward, will do well. The rest, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and you were saying, people just been so used to doing e-commerce, but one thing that we've all been doing for the last 13 months or so is that this pent-up demand for in-person connection. We've been craving human connection, and we're starting to do it slowly. And it's been building during lockdown. How can luxury brands offer consumers high emotions and that sense of connection, which is at the core of luxury, after months of it being undermined by lockdowns, store closures, and social distancing?
Yeah, I mean, as a brand, it's important to be prepared to do that across the board. You have to be able to greet your customer with a human touch and human connection, and a well-trained sales advisor in your boutique. You need to be able to do that with them once they leave your boutique, and you engage them through mobile and through messaging and through personalized connection and that mode of engagement. You need to be able to greet them when they come to your website and say, oh, here's something for you, and here's how you get in touch with us, and here is not just with us, but this one person who has been your advisor for a while, who knows you and can really help you. And how to do that well is what I think is the challenge for brands. So the human touch is where the differentiation comes in. E-commerce, CRM marketing, these are sort of lowest common denominator types of approaches. If you want to stand out as a brand, you have to bring in the story back. You have to bring the experience back. It has to be differentiated, not just in one channel, but across all channels. Because today the customer will shop there where they feel like shopping.
Right.
So some days they'll come to your store, we'll spend like hours and have the champagne and all of that. Some other times they just want to, chat with somebody and say, hey, ship it to my house. The next day they may be on the e-commerce site. So I love this, but I don't know which size. Oh, let me ping my advisor and see what she thinks and how that matches with my other thing in my wardrobe I bought last year. Tying and connecting the dots on that client journey. Very, very few brands can do that well today. And in most cases, they can only do it if they can for a very small number of their clients, the top clients. And growth and opportunity are really ahead of all these brands in my opinion, if they do it right.
Yeah. And as the economy starts opening up, shoppers are going back to physical stores, but their expectations of the in-store experience have absolutely transformed. The whole boring retail is dead. It's going to put a lot of pressure on stores to be super interesting. So what do you think customers' expectations are going to be when they go back to the store? And what are they hoping to find when they step into it?
I think what customers are looking to find is excitement, joy, something interesting, something fun to do. I think, the last thing a customer walking back to a store is what you described, the boring bunch of shelves with stuff, stuff that you have to go through on your own and kind of look around and, maybe you buy something and an advice sales advisor who's not engaged or not knowledgeable. And in that case, your better path as a consumer and a shopper is really e-commerce because it takes less time.
Right.
So I think when we go back to these stores, it's about the standout experience. It's about something that is unique to the brand, whether it's the environment, the way people greet you, the way people recognize you, the things they can offer to you, the curation. When we go to stores today, it's not because we can't find what we want elsewhere in most cases. It's because we want to enjoy it and we want that human touch and the human connection, and we want to have a memorable experience that we can go back and tell our family or friends about and say, hey, I love this and here's why, and can you imagine what they said and did, and this was so cool. I actually went to one of the malls here near in Silicon Valley, and I was quite impressed that they had obviously spent a lot of time investing during the pandemic. I walked into the new section of the mall. It was like it was like, wow, it's pleasant. It's a place you want to go, and it felt very different from the old section of the mall, which was a bunch of the existing stores, and it felt just outdated. And so I think in the same way that destination operators, and I don't want to just call it a mall because there's other players in the market trying to personalize that experience, mix the dining with the food, with the experience, with the shopping, with going to see a performance or whatever. That's what we're all looking for, that human touch, the experience. It's no longer about, I need something, I need to go buy it. And I think brands that think about their persona and their experience in the same way, it's like, what's the full package? What will make a difference in the life of our client, of our customer, because they have limited time. And so if they're going to spend time with us, they want to have a reason to spend time with us. How do we make that possible? Those are things, I think, the brands that will succeed. And in that, the human touch is absolutely critical. I think it's even more so now because COVID. One thing that COVID taught us is that the human connection really matters. Right. It's critical. We want that. It's not just about convenience. It's not just about getting what you want as fast as possible and as conveniently as possible.
So what have your clients been asking you over the past year that have pushed your platform to meet these new wants and needs from brands and customers? Has it changed your business model at all?
It hasn't changed our business model because from the very beginning we were about, and we continue to be about, more curated more knowledgeable tailoring of the experience for the client. And what our customers have been asking us more so over the last 13 months than even before was, how do we know more about what our clients want? How do we know them better? How do we segment our opportunities for our sales advisors at their fingertips to be able to address someone with a in a personal way, in a way that communicates to the client they actually know, their sales advisor knows who they are, they know what's important to them, is reaching out at the right time with the right message, with the right curated selection, that is relevant to that particular client. And so what would we have continued to invest on, and are hearing a lot of increased demand from our customers, is that ability to understand the client data at a level where you can do that kind of personalization, not just because somebody lives in a certain area or has a bunch of SKUs attached to their profile in the POS, or their CRM says they're a top client because over the last number of years they spent X amount of whatever. So I think where BSPK continues to invest in that ability of the sales advisor to enrich the client data in ways in which just transactional data cannot. And number two, use that data and better knowledge of the client, better understanding of the client needs, then personalize the experience. And so that's where we really are seeing a lot of demand, and we continue to invest.
Yeah, and the sales advisors, no question, will be more on the front line than ever. They really have to be the brand storytellers too. So how do you see the sales advisors' role evolving, and what kind of skills do you think they need now for the next generation of sales associate?
The most important skill for a sales advisor going forward is emotional intelligence. You need to be able to connect to people. You need to know how to really communicate empathy, emotion, excitement, joy. Be a friend. I mean, these are the people that as one of our sales advisors said to me, not our, but one of our customer sales advisors said to me, Zornitza, if you make things fun, people will buy from you. Period. You have to know how to do this, and so that is an absolutely critical skill. The other super critical skill for a sales advisor going forward, they need to be comfortable with technology. They need to be sales savvy and tech savvy. Because when we think about where the customer is on WeChat, on WhatsApp, online, they're on Apple Messages. We talk, we engage with our friends, with our business partners, with everyone digitally these days, and messaging is it, and communication on these platforms, including our personal messengers or Instagram, or for the younger generation, TikTok. I mean, these are the places where we hang out. And so if you're a sales advisor and you're afraid of technology, and you're still thinking, oh, they're going to come to my store, and when they come, I'll offer, that is really, really detrimental to the client experience, because that's the last thing that the client wants. And the tech savvy client, will be able to tell the difference very, very quickly. So emotional intelligence, being comfortable with technology, being able to curate the experience, and those are the attributes of the successful sales advisor. I do want to say one thing, which is that the brands that are successful really, and in my opinion, can be successful, need the ability to motivate their sales force. And the way you motivate your sales force is that you give them the responsibility of the client relationship. You empower them with the right tool, with the right messages, with the right training to own that customer relationship and feel the success. When people feel there's meaning in their jobs and they have an opportunity to succeed, wonders happen. But if you take that away from sales advisors and push down, robotic tasks, where it's like you have to contact this many people, and you have to, sell to this many people, and you have to, you have to check the box on all of these 20 things. That is where you make a human a robot. And when you make a human a robot, they're no longer engaged in the job. And I think the emotional intelligence and the success in selling, as we all know, comes from a person who is engaged in the process. And so I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, but that seems pretty hard to scale because it does require a mix of emotional intelligence, sophisticated technology, and savvy, highly personable and well educated. Is scale possible for something like this?
Yeah, of course it is possible, and I think it's possible because when we when we equip the sales teams with the right tools, they're learning the process. The well-designed tool, and we do that at BSPK. Very we with dedicated resources to that particular aspect of our platform to enable sales advisors to get better over time, to learn what works, to get a sense of what are the means of engaging a client where over time you get better and you achieve better results. And so that feedback loop from the tools you have at your disposal certainly helps that process. Of course, you also need to hire the right people. I mean, one of the things that actually was getting back to your question, what was the revelation of the gap, a while back when I started BSPKs, I have to say, I'm a customer of luxury, I'm a customer of fashion, and sometimes you walk into the stores and it's like, why would you hire? You have a premium or luxury client in your boutique. Why would you hire the cheapest, most poorly trained, possibly trained person to represent you? There are those cases, just hiring people who are not suited to the job. And I think that's also one of the aspects of where luxury brands need to think about is the salesperson is the face of your brand. You need to hire the right people if you want to be successful and build a relationship with your client.
And you have to pay them too.
You have to pay them, of course. And you don't have, maybe you have fewer salespeople, but better ones. And if you equip them well and you give them the ability to be successful, you're going to have much better results than hiring the first person who walks into the store saying I want to be in sales, and they're there for 6 months and then they depart. I mean, turnover is a huge problem in retail, premium or not. And I think the reason is that people feel disenchanted with the job. And so strategically for brands, that is something to think about, but you have to equip them in the right way. That is for sure one of the things that we've seen make a difference in even like working with the brands who are our customers today.
Yeah. So looking back, what do you think is the most important lesson that you learned during COVID?
Most important lesson I learned during COVID is that it's technology works when it empowers human connections. The reason we all today love Zoom and Teams is because they enable us to talk to other people. And technology is most successful when it's easy to use, so that while empowering these human connections, it can also be out of the way. In other words, you're not
Right.
you're not battling the technology; it's just an enabler, a facilitator. And as a technologist, as a person, my professional background, I'm a generalist, but I for years ran product development at venture-backed startups. I've always believed that you have to make something easy for it to be adopted, and we have so many examples of that. Anything from Facebook to Slack to Gmail. I mean, anything where fundamentally the technology stepped out of the way, or the iPhone for that matter. That's when it took off. When you had something that was personable and fun and pleasant and so much easier to use than anything else. That drives adoption. Period. So the ease of use is critical, but that ease of use needs to then bring value, and the value we all seek at the end of the day is interacting with other people and being effective in our communication with other people. And COVID, when I look back in the last 13 months, really drove that point home, which is why also brands are looking to invest digitally in those technologies where you can enable that human connection uh, anywhere at any time.
Have you expanded into China yet, or thinking about expanding into China? Because the Asian social media platforms like WeChat and Weibo seem way ahead of the game when it comes to social selling and clienteling.
Absolutely, yeah, we are, and I think one of the uh, differentiators of BSPK is that we are indeed global. We have integration with Line in Japan. We're about to release integration with WeChat. Super critical for our brands because luxury is global, premium is global. China is 40% of luxury in terms of consumption.
Mhm.
So absolutely important market for our customers. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the way that these platforms have evolved in Asia is actually very, very significantly more advanced than the way they've evolved here in the States. So we want to be integrated into those platforms and offer that experience across the entire globe. And today, we're everywhere: Middle East, Europe, North America, and China very soon.
So what is the outlook for BSPK for 2021? You have these $7 million now. So where's the growth going to come from?
More customers.
Good answer. Anything new besides new customers? Anything, are you looking at expanding or any kind of new
Well,
features or?
of course. I mean,
Yeah.
BSPK is about, BSPK is about data and better understanding of enriched data and better understanding of the client. So for us, more customers, of course, that is priority number one. Providing better capabilities to our customers, equally important. And better capability for our customers is allowing them to personalize and tailor the experience in more knowledgeable ways for their clients. And so that is all driven by data. The BSPK has many capabilities: video, chat, messaging across platforms. As I mentioned, we're integrated with Apple Messages, Line, WeChat, WhatsApp, email, SMS. So the touch points are as universal as they can be. We provide visual engagement with images, with the ability to curate images, with video, and real-time streaming, as well as sharing videos with clients. So the capabilities to engage in a visual and kind of fun way are there. AR is very important and on our roadmap. Closing the loop on the whole client journey from engagement to purchasing. We have integration with Adyen Pay, which is the premier platform that luxury and premium is using for payment processing these days. So closing that loop on how and where the customer completes their transaction once they engage with the associate, that's of course part of the platform. All of those things, all of those capabilities fundamentally feed into the core of what BSPK is about: the full view of connecting the dots on the whole client journey. And then based on that and based on the deeper knowledge, which is enriched by the human connection with the sales advisor, to be able to present the right opportunities to the sales advisor at the right time, which then in turn allows them to engage people with the right message at the right time. And really that positive feedback loop is what drives value for our customers, the brands, at the end of the day.
So my final question, Zornitza, is the luxury item question, which I ask all my guests. If you were stranded on a deserted island and you could have only one luxury item with you, what would that luxury item be? It can't be any form of air transportation to get you off the island. Can't be anything that requires mobile service. What would that single luxury item that you would have on that deserted island?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. There's so many choices. The biggest luxury for me these days is spending time with my kids. I have two daughters, they're 14 and 17. I was just in Paris for 7 weeks. Believe me, being away for 7 weeks and not seeing my kids was tough.
Right. That's right.
So if I was on a deserted island, the first thing, my biggest luxury item is having my two girls with me and being close to them. I think that's my luxury these days, being close to my family and my kids.
That's terrific. Zornitza Stefanova, founder and CEO of BSPK. Thank you so much for joining me on the luxury item.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Love the conversation. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of the Luxury Item Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this useful and entertaining, I would be really grateful if you can share it with a friend or colleague. I would love it if you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other listeners find us. The Luxury Item Podcast is a production of Silvertone Consulting. I'm your host, Scott Kerr. Until next time.